We'll just see if
You're now broadcasting.
Hello. Chatura.
अच्छा मैं जरा माइक पे जाके ना दो तीन बातें करना I'll go outside and I'll see if I can actually hear it properly.
Where's my Hello. Yes, Taha can hear me. Aha.
Yeah.
Because you have to, so when I go back to school, you get so okay, yeah.
Hello, hello. Hey, Sarah, what's up?
Hey.
How was your evening? I know, right? What do you have for lunch? What about you, Ethan? What about the other half?
Can we say something? Can we say something?
What's up? What's going on?
So just make sure
You talking to Mike?
when you're
Yes, I
talking.
can talk in the mic.
ऊपर जो तुम लोग बोल रहे होगे
Yeah.
पीछे जाओ हाँ पीछे इधर I want to make sure you come in the thing, right? So इधर खड़े होके whoever's talking should stand there. All right, when they're talking,
That makes sense.
right?
Any other questions?
Baki, okay, now let's see where the panelists are going to sit.
Can I have that mic? Can I have a mic? Excuse me, Taha?
I just like to talk for 2 minutes.
Alright,
Time
he's in
to
India right now.
Sorry?
He's in India right now.
Yes.
So, if we got it.
You know, I mean, if I can, great. If I can't, okay, you know. Also, I was wondering, is there an MC, an MC who's introducing things, etc.?
So what was the finding on here?
So, okay, but who's the MC? What, the junior?
Kind of.
Okay, great. And are you introducing me or am I introducing myself? Okay, perfect.
How do you want to do that? You want
I mean, I'm CEO of InkMind. Do you know what InkMind is? It's a business information platform. We're calling it now, actually I've been trying to call it a sort of software for business communities.
college venture?
We did, yes, it's now called InkMind. So like it's sort of business community software. It's a way for a business to keep all of its stakeholders informed and up to date on what's going on in business, securely for all the private information as well as public. So I'm CEO of InkMind, but also, of course, I'm director of Foundry Institute.
Yeah.
And we've actually just opened up a new cohort of Foundry Institute on Monday. So it'll start in July, October, Pakathon Baithak. Okay. So if there's any team who wants to get a head start on Pakathon, but of course Pakathon is just a normal hackathon. But yeah, but we would love to have.
I'm just going to talk about how you're CEO.
Okay, this is supposed to. Okay.
You can kind of go into detail.
Then I can say, hey, we're recruiting. Okay, great. So I'll do that instead. Okay, that sounds good.
Okay.
Is this supposed to be on right now? Like I just turned it on.
Yeah, the like my DK just
So on Monday. And I for what it's you guys do for angel investing 10 years ago. So I've been an entrepreneur, angel investor. Yeah. So that's probably just it. Sure. Okay, happy to. You told me
July 7th.
July 7th. No, 2nd, that's a Tuesday.
Yeah.
That could work.
Hello.
Thank you so much.
But that will be
Hello.
So you're involved in Shio and Pakathon Baithak.
Hello.
So, is it fund based for Shio, and is that a good place to get source of found for
Yeah.
student or not?
So that's how the
Hello. Hello.
Yes.
There's a lot
Hello.
of them, but there's a lot of the businesses that
Hello. Hello. Hello.
I think that's
It might.
Okay, so I'm not sure what you mean by the product.
There's one mic
So,
outside.
yeah, it's like, yeah, so absolutely, so, so Founder Institute is wrong for lifestyle businesses. But just because it's product based doesn't mean lifestyle.
It could be, yeah. There's somebody who's doing like somebody who's doing heavy spots.
Yes.
So there's like CEO who's like doing something similar, so they don't touch after their mental
Sure.
So yeah, I think there are some like tech-oriented startups that
And well, of course, you saw your bin sheet.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's not a traditional tech business.
I was like, who's gonna be the test market for this? Like, have you found it?
Absolutely.
Hello.
That's, I mean, that's
So-
skydivers. You've got a parachute in your back. You're trying to get up so you can jump up the parachute. Having said that, his initial market is he's a high payload drone. That's all he is. So he'll test it as a high payload drone. And once you start carrying payloads around, and say the VA wants to access the parachute. But let's face it, if you're flying straight up, so you can jump out and fall down.
Yeah, I was like not sure about like who's
Hello.
And then there was another lady who did, I don't know if you remember, there was a wedding call for
Yes.
Maybe, and then who was the other one? There was another one, third person.
What was her business?
Yeah.
I was trying to remember the name.
No, I'm trying to remember who was it. There were two girls who pitched their startups, right?
Okay.
There was the My Wedding Call for, and
Yes.
there was the other one.
Sarah.
You don't remember business?
No, I really don't remember. And I didn't take one of those like little fairs here. But there were only two girls who went up for something.
Yeah. I'm going blank. That's historical.
Yeah, it's fine. I'll ask them.
This one's working. That one
Oh,
doesn't work.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because we're having a pitch event and like.
Oh, sure.
Hello.
Absolutely. Let me get some of the
Hello.
first we talked about. What's her name? There you go. First, Jane
Hello. Olivia, right?
and Olivia.
Hello.
Oh, of course, Yulia.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, she's Russian. Yes.
So what was her thing? I don't know.
Hello.
So what does she do?
So she spent the past 5 years helping
Try changing it up.
retail chain stores have like 200 stores and you get some too.
Hello.
You're sitting at headquarters, and by the way, you've got marketing materials to get them, you've got new store signs, fixtures to get up, you've got the special promotional t-shirts, and there's different people in headquarters who are responsible for each of those different projects. And the chain store is sitting there going, oh my God, what do I do? Because everyone needs people. Are busy emailing.
So you're like 140 minutes schools?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I'm
one online platform.
Okay.
The chain store can get everything from headquarters, all in one place, all organized, and all the different groups at headquarters all have access to one place to know what's going on in the store.
That's amazing.
So it's,
I think a lot of these chain stores have a system like that.
that's what she said, and she's been doing this for 5 years, advising stores on calling from headquarters, trying to make programs happen. So it's like, so,
Can we cut the
yeah, her
audio?
business is very, very interesting. She's got some fun. Got a bunch of people within the industry.
Because
Oh my
I think
God,
when
yes.
people are tuning in, all they're hearing is mic check, and it's like,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Distributors stuff who sell other stuff to chain stores.
Hi.
They sell fixtures, they want to use displays, and they want to partner with her to sell their stuff.
Unmute over here.
Hello.
Mic se बोलो, mic I move. Use the mic.
Tamur, I can't hear you. I can't hear you, Tamur.
No, we can hear you. We can hear you. So you can mic. Some of the different roles, so I don't participate. And if any questions, then there's like that one. And then people who are doing logistics. This is not possible to split it into. If you are interested,
Can you hear us now?
Like,
Hello? Can you hear us now?
Yeah, yeah. Now I can hear you.
Is it there?
last year we actually had the problem about 200. Last year,
Alright, thank you. We will call you back in a few minutes.
Hello.
Oh yeah, you can just stay on the call.
I was there in the basically that. Oh, thanks for having us. Yeah, borrow a hug. Or you break something. Yeah, that's very likely to happen. Need some help? No, I'm good. I'm good. What exactly are you doing? Putting this up there, so then just part. You love your Google Hangouts, right? I'm impressed. Why is everybody gathered up in the park? I am good. I want to put the stream up there. Another. Which one? It's Lisa.
But do you have a picture in picture? Have it on the video? You don't have a picture in picture. Hey!
I can see you. Yeah, you need to get back a little.
Hey man, how you doing?
How are you?
Good to see you, man. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you very much, Bhai. Good to see you.
This is more of a discotheque than a Pakathon, so pretty loud, so I can't hear you. But I think it's quieter. You will be able to hear you. क्या हाल है? ठीक है?
Super sister, I can hear you loud and clear. Wonderful.
What use of Yusuf,
let me call you.
किधर है वो? इधर ही है. अजहर क्या नाम है तुम्हारी कंपनी का?
जी फर्स्ट हैदर भाई आपकी आवाज इज नॉट वेरी क्लियर. आई कांट हियर यू क्लियरली.
अच्छा, अभी probably
I can hear you.
what's your company's name?
What my right now I'm representing MIT Enterprise Forum.
Something like MIT businessman. यार ये मेरे बड़े अच्छे दोस्त हैं नबील मलिक.
अच्छा अस्सलाम वालेकुम.
जी अस्सलाम वालेकुम. Other Nabil is a very dear friend of mine. We were
also how are you?
Partners and colleagues in Mashik Bank. Then he was also a client in Nigeria, and he's also he doesn't want to admit it, but he's also a partner in Management Excellence.
अच्छा माशाल्लाह wonderful.
तो मैं इनको भी Nabil is a very seasoned banker. Citibank, ABN AMRO Bank, and all that. His last assignment was board member and executive director of one of the largest banks in Nigeria. And
wow.
You know, he did a very successful 4-year stint with them, and he's now also rightly relocated to Canada. लेकिन यहाँ पता नहीं, मैं तो तुम्हें पता है फंस गया हूँ. ये कहते हैं कि मैं पाकिस्तान वापस जा रहा हूँ. So when he comes back to Pakistan,
Sure. So are you planning to come back to Karachi?
Sorry?
Are you planning to come back to Karachi?
Karachi, that's right.
Okay, wonderful. Most welcome जी. बिल्कुल आइए.
Nice meeting you like this, but inshallah, I'll see you face to face. Nabil also knows Ken Wolf, by the way.
अच्छा. Guru.
Ken Wolf.
अच्छा.
मैंने बल्कि भी Ken से राब्ता करना है. I don't know where he is. You never know.
Yeah, Ken से basically Boston या Spain या Netherlands or Ireland. These are the 3 or 4 sort of countries. Yeah, Boston है. Boston या फिर Netherlands या Ireland या Spain. यहाँ पे there are 3 universities where he's heading the chair for entrepreneurship. 3 different universities in Europe. वहाँ travel करता है. That's about it. Otherwise, is my voice clear? Can you hear me clearly? In the audience? Can you hear? I think they're going to put a mic.
Achha, you know, the sound is very loud. Perhaps talk a little later, huh?
Acha, okay. Background, yes.
Okay. Once this thing is over, you start. Now you visit the market. That yours? You can have it. Malik. there's another name for this. Blackboard train. They'll have to come a little nearer.
I also love Canada. Oh, okay. जो भी आपके SMS the government said no charge about why is it advantage?
Hey guys, we will be starting in 5 minutes, so please grab a seat. 5 minutes.
मैं इसे खोल लेता हूँ ना इधर टैब में इसका नाम क्या है यार पूरा Where is oh there it is right
Can you hear me now? Yeah. Afternoon, please. It gets hello. Should be fine now. Should be. Yes. Can I have Ria and Ali up front?
Thank you. Yeah, this one. Yeah.
Hello.
Can everybody hear me in the back? Hello?
Keeps going on and on.
Hello. Can everybody hear me in the back? Check. Hello. 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 Well, thank you, everybody. These are going on.
Yeah. Welcome, everyone.
That's just fabulous.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for coming out. This is amazing. Start to Pakathon 2015. It's quite nostalgic for us to be here because this is where we exactly started last year. You know, with 20 of us getting the movement started. We have all our team returning back. We have a new leadership team in Timur and Ria, and got an exciting program for you tonight. You know, Pakathon has grown exceptionally over the years. The Toronto community is, you know, definitely supported. I see a lot of familiar faces right now in year one. So thank you so much for all the support that you've given us and the new partnership that we've made. And I'm just going to let Temur and Ria take off tonight, and thank you so much for being here tonight.
Thank you, Ali. First of all, I think it does need a bit of introduction to what Pakathon is. I see a lot of new faces over here. So for those who don't know, Pakathon is a hackathon. And a hackathon which basically aims to solve problems across Pakistan. And for those of you who are not familiar with the idea of a hackathon, it's where people from all kinds of backgrounds come together and they work together to come up with solutions for a problem. And one of the tangible thing that comes out of it is the fact that you actually have a tangible output at the end of the event. You want to talk about the hackathon we had?
Technical difficulties. Yeah, I'm gonna try to use a mic. Does this work? Yeah, I think so. Magic touch. So we started off. Okay, it's not.
I think it's the distance, maybe.
So we started off Pakathon. By we mean started off in Boston. 3 cities, 30 teams, 250 participants. Pakathon TO actually started last year, and I still remember when Ali first reached out to me and he's like, do we want to do this? You want to do this? We all want to do this. So then came around Pakathon TO. And I'm very happy to say this, that Pakathon TO was the biggest hackathon across our whole network. That's tweet-worthy, by the way. We are Pakathon TO on Twitter. If anybody is using Twitter, thank you. So last year, 15 cities, 1,000 plus participants globally, 150 plus teams, and $10,000 plus in prizes, mentorship, and exposure on a global scale. And how was all of this made possible? All of this was made possible by all of our community partners, all the volunteers who form our core team. At this point, I want to take this moment to kind of bring them forward so we can give them a huge round of applause. But all of them are scattered throughout, so just stand up. If you're already standing, that's great. Can we all give them a huge round of applause, please? So Toronto also happened to be one of the largest teams last year. And I think that was one of the biggest reasons why we were so successful. And just to highlight a few of our sponsors and partners, BitMaker hosted us last year. 111 is where we kickstarted our first cafe. And for those of you who don't know what 111 does, it is a not-for-profit accelerator for startups who deal with big data. And for those of you who are interested, this just got loud. And for those of you who are interested in finding out more about what 111 does, there are cards out front on the reception desk, and you can grab one on the way out. We also got covered by a bunch of news organizations. And these are just to name a few. CBC actually reached out to us because they thought this was a great initiative that they should cover. And without further ado, I will pass off to Temur, who would talk about the bigger and better things we have planned for all of you this year. We do have.
Bear with me. And we're back.
So we are back. And I think one thing I've learned from the video is that I mumble a lot. So I will try my best to speak more clearly. If you have any moment where you can understand me, just let me know. So looking back at 2014, we did a great job. Now, once we got back together as a team in January, we started thinking about how do you define success for us as a team? How do you define success of the Pakathon chapter? And one thing that unanimously everyone agreed on was the fact that our success depends on you guys. It's the teams that come out of it, and it's the ideas that come out of it. So, based on that, we start building our vision. Our vision is based on the fact that have better ideas that are well thought out, and are more closer to ground realities in Pakistan. And based on that, we start thinking about how do we actually go and implement that? How do we actually make sure that this happens? So our strategy for this year is based on 3 things. The first one is education. Just for the fact that you are here in Toronto, you are kind of disconnected with what's happening in Pakistan. There's no medium for you to actually understand what are the ground realities. And I think I fundamentally believe that in order for you to actually solve the problem, you need to really understand what the problem is in the first place. And that's one of the things that we really want to focus on for Pakathon this year. The next thing is inspiration. And by inspiration, I mean learning from each other. Is we need more stories out there which can inspire us and teach us how to take the first step. Something we can look forward to, something which can help us take the first step. And the last thing is connect. When great people come together, great things happen. And that's the idea for Pakathon this year. We want to make sure that we get more and more people together in the same room as much as we can, so people can start connecting early, start forming ideas early on. So based on that, and all of this will lead to Pakathon. We are trying a number of initiatives this year. We have a team called the Think Tank. And I will actually let Nabil talk about it. If Nabil, you can come up and share what are some of the things we're doing with the Think Tank.
Lots of people here. Lots of people here. Thanks for coming. I think I'm just regardless of whether you're here or you're not. I think we have with the Think Tank. There's a few people who are here today. Zainab, Samir, there's another Nabila as well. Believe it or not, there's really.
Shout.
I have a sore throat, so shout out. But I think there's really 3 things that we want you to do. We want you to question yourself and what you're doing here. We want you to question everything you do. Question Pakathon. Question the kinds of language that you use. Question your assumptions coming into today, right? What do you think you're going to be doing? Who do you think you're going to be doing it for? What impact do you think it's going to make? Ask good questions. Think about all those things. Think about fairness. Think about, whether if you say we're going to solve someone else's problems, what other problems can you actually solve, right? Are they your problems to solve? What do you know about their problems? What do you know about their lives, right? Think about how, they have agency, you don't, right? You don't have the ability to, necessarily solve, take someone out of poverty if that's what you're doing, right? Or if someone is suffering from drought in a rural area in Pakistan, right? What can you actually do for them? So ask those questions of yourself and ask those questions in the work that you're doing. And take the work seriously. I think that's what we really want from a think tank perspective, what we want to encourage you to do. And that's why we're having this event 6 months before the hackathon, right? We're going to be organizing a series of events from now. This is the first. There's going to be 2 more in-person events, and there's going to be 3 webinars that will be coming. People from Pakistan who have worked in there, who understand what it takes to make change, and who can talk intelligently about what does change mean, right? Because if change means, me feeling better about a good idea that I've been able to come up with, that's not necessarily a really good definition of change, is it, right? So question what success means, right? And keep questioning us, keep pushing us to do better, so that by the end of by the end of the 6 months, right, when you walk into the hackathon, into those 48 hours, you've thought through the ideas. You've understood what are the health challenges, right? That's something we really want to encourage you to do. We want you to take yourself seriously and first and foremost approach what you're doing with intellectual honesty and humility, right? Not have the arrogance to presume that just because you come from a more developed economy, you have the ability to tell people what they should do, right? And recognize that we are all small fish in the bigger picture. So try to understand that larger context, right? Try to understand that there are lots of stereotypes that you will hear about Pakistan, that might even be reinforced by members of our team, including myself, right? Question those stereotypes. That there's always a political agenda, right? Regardless, even if we think that we're going to use big data, data is not political, it just is. That's not necessarily true, right? So think about all those things. Demand more of yourself, and I think the only way, from my perspective, to be honest, is to ensure you've done your homework, right? We have a few serial entrepreneurs here. We're going to be talking about this, right? I'm sure they will tell you they've had to learn a lot more about their industries before they started their businesses, right? And I think as anyone wants to launch a project that has some kind of social impact, right? Think about what social impact means. Think about those industries in which you're doing the project. And we're not going to teach you any of those things. We're going to give you information which will be a starting point, right? So if for example, it is, let's say, drought, right? I can only share some statistics with you. I can maybe set up a conversation with someone who's worked in that area, but you're going to have to do the work yourself. You're going to have to dive in deeper. You're going to have to read more reports and watch the videos and talk to people. You have to listen to people before you tell them anything, right? So there's a great buzz in the room usually, and Pakathon last year, we had lots of fun. This can be fun. It doesn't, but not necessarily. I think, to be honest, this has been my experience, right? If done right, it's not just fun, it's also heartbreaking. It also gives you a lot of anger, but that anger is also a lot of energy. So I think, we have to, if we talk about making social change, we have to give that work the respect it deserves. And in order to do that well, in order for us to approach this with honesty, you have to learn a lot more about what we're doing. We're going to give you those opportunities. Today is the first of those. We're really privileged to have Saim, Zaki, Saida, and Kamal moderating that conversation, where they've begun that journey, and they'll tell us a lot more about what they've done.
Thank you, Nabil. Ashi really hit them on. We also have one of the changes that happened this year in Pakathon Global was one of our founding members, Azhar Saab, joined as in the team, and he is joining us in Pakistan right now. So a little background about Azhar Saab. Azhar Saab was our mentor, our advisor when Pakistan was just starting out. Now he has joined in his full capacity. He is the head of Pakistan Enterprise, MIT Enterprise Forum. He has mentored a lot of startups in Pakistan. He teaches entrepreneurship in multiple universities in Pakistan. And other stuff, I'll let you take over and just give a little vision about what Pakathon is in 2015 on a global level. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. Should I start, Taimur?
Yes. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Assalamu alaikum, everyone, and a very good evening to everyone in Toronto. I'm extremely grateful to our team there to give me the opportunity to talk to you all today. And I must admit that over the last 2 years since we started this program, our Toronto team has come up beyond our expectations. They have been doing an extraordinary job, and I would request you all for a big round of applause to my team over there, Taimur, Rhea, and everyone there. Now, Taimur, you can change the slide. I think they've seen enough of me, and probably they'll be viewing me on video as well. Right. So it all started about 2 years ago In fact, a little bit of background of what we have been doing in Pakistan since 2007. We started a program with MIT, and they have an organization by the name of MIT Enterprise Forum. We have launched a program which has been now running for the past 7 years very successfully. And through that program, we take IT companies for a 5-month plan where we bring them in, we train them, help them write a business plan, connect with them diaspora in the US, an organization by the name of Open, Organization of Pakistani Entrepreneurs of North America. The mentors and coach the teams over here. These are all companies with at least 3 years of business and $100,000 in revenue, and must be a tax-paying company as well. So we train them, we coach them, and then finally we have a final competition in November every year with the faculty of MIT Entrepreneurship Center, Pakistani entrepreneurs from US, and local entrepreneurs. Select top 3. Then these 3 teams are sent back to US. They are sent to US in January for a 1-week program known as Entrepreneurship Development Program. And after that, we do road shows for them in Boston, in Washington, D.C., in Silicon Valley, and at times to a couple of other cities like Houston or Chicago. As a result, 300 companies have been trained. And the company that came into competition in 2007, which was doing a revenue of $100,000, last year it closed at $35 million. And there are 40 companies, mashallah, out of 300, which have all put together, crossed the revenue of $500 million in the last 7 years. And the valuation is much more than that. Now, how did we do that? Did we provide them funding, or did we provide connected them with venture fund managers? No, we just focus on changing their mindset, and we help them believe that you can, in Pakistan, by being in Pakistan, can expect international opportunities and grow big. And mashallah, these companies are doing very well. More than that, it has created role models. Like there are 50 to 60 role models now, with young kids going to universities or anyone who's starting out, look at them and get mentored by them. They connect them directly. So this small ecosystem is building where companies are doing well and they're giving back by nurturing and hand-holding upcoming companies or startup companies. Second thing that we started was in 2010 when we approached universities and we started business plan competition for universities. Again, a 5-month program where up till now we have trained like 15,000 students, close to 4,000 or 5,000 teams. And the program is, again, we train everyone who sort of registered in the program, mashallah, and slowly and gradually these companies are now being incubated at Pakistan, and they are graduating. And some of the companies, when they graduate, they graduate with a revenue base of, say, $400,000 to $500,000 a year. So this is all what is happening. We are also training the researchers and all that. So 2 years ago, when I met Zila and Asad in Silicon Valley, take Pakathon global. Instead of just doing it for 4 universities in Boston, we just start with going to universities in Pakistan. So in 2013, we were 6 universities, 4 in Boston, 2 in Pakistan, LUMS and NUST in Islamabad. And that also helped us to establish the talent that we have in our country in the United States, because the first prize was won by a university group from Harvard, second was won by LUMS, and third was won by National University of Science and Technology, NUST, in Islamabad. Again, in a pilot phase last year, where we had 12 universities from US, we wanted to have more universities in Pakistan, but because of floods, we simply could not entertain them. There were 22 universities, and again, a very tough competition. The first team came from Georgia Tech, the third team came from University of Toronto, or from Toronto, and fourth was honorable mention, UPenn. But the team that surprised everyone was the second slot, which was taken up by University of Malakand. Malakand is in North Waziristan. And the girls and boys, they came up with an excellent solution for Google search. So this again further established that Pakistani talent is now ready to compete. This year, inshallah, we have expanded ourselves to UAE, we have expanded ourselves to UK, and also Australia. So now, inshallah, we'll have 4 continents, more than 25 cities. It should be somewhere in the range of 35 to 40 cities. And we we expect around we expect around 100 universities to participate this year. Now, what we are trying to do is create an environment where Pakistani students across the world can communicate. They can communicate with each other, network with each other, and come up with ideas and solutions that can be applied in Pakistan. For social reasons, yes, but as we all know, the bottom of the pyramid market is now expanding. And China, India, even companies in Europe are focusing on developing solutions for bottom of the pyramid market, which is close to $8 to $10 trillion in terms of their economy. So this is an area where we need to work now. We have a big country. We have a country of 220 million. Unfortunately, 70% of our population is living below the poverty line. But that is an opportunity for all of us who have self-actualized, who are educated, who are going to universities, who have bright ideas, to come up with these ideas and develop them to the next level, where by the time in the next 4 to 5 years, we start coming up with product and services, doing well in Pakistan, and then we can take it to the next level, inshallah. So after this program, we went to HEC. Go on the next slide. Yeah. So we went to HEC, and Higher Education Commission is the body which regulates universities in Pakistan, established in 2002 by Dr. Ataur Rahman. And this organization has done some wonderful work. Just give you an idea, when I was going to university in 80s, like 85, 86, the total budget for Pakistani universities, which were like 30 or 40 then, was not more than $6 million for all the universities. This year only, they have allocated $600 million for the 180 universities that are established in Pakistan. And the number of researchers have increased from a few hundred to now 10,000 in all the universities. So HEC has done some great work for establishing higher education in Pakistan. So now HEC is on board, and we have asked them to connect us with 50 universities. So 50 universities from Pakistan will be participating, inshallah, in this competition. They have already allocated $250,000 for this university program. We are graduating Pakathon from an event-based organization to now more of a chapter with a charter. And these chapters, like student bodies, will be conducting 3 to 4 programs every year. Like our team in Boston is planning to have a mango lassi coding session in July or August. So whereby they will be having a session, a 2-day coding session, where not only Pakistanis, but international students, Americans, and other foreign students in the US will be invited to come and code for various solutions here. And I believe that this is again going to create a new sort of paradigm where international students are also going to be exposed to our problems as opportunities. And this think tank that they established in Toronto, probably that is what they plan to do and that they should be doing, that come up with ideas and let them help develop solutions for that. So HEC is on board. Our next areas, can you move to the next slide, please? Yeah, okay. So after getting HEC on board, now we are talking to organizations like Akhuwat Foundation. Akhuwat Foundation was established, it's an NGO, and it's the only microfinance bank which offers interest-free loans to a large community in Pakistan. Established in 2015 with 10,000 rupees. Over a period of 15 years, Akhuwat has now distributed over 14 billion rupees to 750,000 households. When I say household, it means it is impacting the life of around 75 to 80 million people in Pakistan. And they give interest-free financing in all the small cities in Punjab. They are starting out in Sindh, and they have started in Sindh. They started in KPK. They started some work in Balochistan, but in 15 years, and now they are on the average they are distributing 50 crore rupees every month. It's a wonderful program with 99.98% recovery. 0.02% is because of the death of a person or insolvency. And the beautiful thing about it that those who lose their life cannot continue their business. Their families are again supported, given back loan, they can continue. And along with that, those who get insolvent or get bankrupt, they get some training and again given back money to go out and sort of start their lives all over again. So Ahua's Foundation is now on board, and what we're doing with them is that Ahua is now have agreed to fund programs, bright ideas, new ideas, which will be incubated at universities with a tune of $3,000 to $5,000 as an interest-free loan. So the team that will be winning and that will be incubated in Pakistan, they will be given a small amount as a seed funding come loan so that they can start up their ventures. So we are going to have board advisors from Ahua. Amir Saqib is going to be on board. We are talking to the Poverty Alleviation Fund of Pakistan, another huge organization making tremendous efforts toward poverty alleviation. They are on board, and a human fund in Pakistan is now on board. They will be opening up the avenues for us. They are investing in ventures in Pakistan, in social sector ventures, and a lot of other organizations are now getting on board, and their CEOs will be representing their organizations at board of advisors. And these board of advisors are not only going there to just basically be there, they will be there to help us strategize how to take this whole Pakathon movement to the next level. In order to, the next step that we are going to take is that all of these leaders from the social sector who establish these multi-million-dollar organizations and making an impact, they will be making 30-minute videos. Because generally when you start a hackathon or a business plan competition, students or young professionals coming, they don't have much of an idea. They are very ambitious, they are committed, but they don't know the gravity of the problem on the ground. So initially, when they come up with the solutions, somehow they don't get appreciated by these sector players. So what we are doing is that we'll have 40 to 50 videos prepared for each of the sector in Pakistan by one of the experts who is going to define the ground reality, what is going on in Pakistan right now, where do they stand, and what solutions do they need? What is that they need from this group of 5,000, 10,000, and expanding, inshallah, student body to work on? And once you are able to grapple with those solutions, the students and professionals would know that they have an audience where they can sell their products and services, they can sell their solutions, and they can be implemented in Pakistan. So it is going to educate the teams better. Another area that we are working on is that every winning team from a university will be incubated at their universities. There are now like 50 business incubation centers at various universities. So they'll have an opportunity to be incubated, get a small funding or a small interest-free loan from the Ahua's Foundation and Poverty Alleviation Fund, start up their teams. This year we are going to encourage that the teams should be not only diverse in terms of their discipline, like finance, marketing, engineering. So every team must have people from other disciplines, but also to have people from the different countries. Like a team in Pakistan will be encouraged to work with students in Dubai or in the US or Toronto in Australia. And every year, starting from next year, the winning team having international members will be brought to Pakistan during the summer vacations to work with their team in Pakistan at the incubators. So again, a new area that we want to start, bringing back all the good boys and girls who are going out, and unfortunately, we sort of lose them. Can you change the slide, please? Okay. So this is so the incubation process will be at Pakistani universities. While we are talking to the Founders Institute in Pakistan and internationally as well, in the US as well, we are also talking to CIO, and CIO and IDG Pakistan has come on board, and the fellowship program will be available to the winners, meaning that the winner of this program would be able to go to CIO and IDG fellowship program, and their projects and their success stories will be printed in CIU and IDG around the world. So incubation in Pakistan to start with, but with HEC next year we are going to start communicating with universities all over the world and look at the possibility that if a team that is in the US, like 4 members from US and 1 from Pakistan, so getting an opportunity to get these teams incubated with HEC partner universities in the US. So we are going to provide them incubation, mentorship. Again, we'll have 40 to 50 mentors like Dr. Ataur Rahman, people who will be on a board of advisor, will be available. You'll have to schedule the time. Along with that, we are starting out, from our portal, we launch a mentors program. We will be recruiting mentors from all over the world. And wherever Pakathon chapter is, like in the US, in 20 cities, in other part of the world, and in Pakistan, 25 cities. So every Pakathon chapter that will be established at the university or in the cities in US and all over the world, a model is a little different. In Pakistan, we are having university-based chapters. Around the world, we are having city chapters, like Toronto chapter there. So it will be responsibility of these chapters to get mentors from their cities to get on board, to sign up with us and offer the quality mentorship. So another challenge for our team there to get some quality mentor. And I think programs like this, we have like my dear friend Heather Mehdi sitting there. Heather Bhai is like an elder brother, a wonderful a banker from Pakistan, a consultant who has done a lot of work in the UAE, now has moved to. So I'd like him and other members like him, senior Pakistani, to come on board as mentors, and so that can sort of really start the exposure of our students in getting the quality mentorship and exposure to the experience and coming up with good ideas. So we are taking care of the solutions, so we provide quality problems and solutions, quality problems for our students to work with. We are trying to get mentors on board. And on the third leg, we are working right now with a couple of American crowdfunding organizations, which are now going to focus on these. Like the crowdfund will be available for everyone, that is right now, but we will have access to those crowdfunds. So our bright ideas, a good project coming out of Pakathon, the winners of Pakathon, or any good idea that they feel they want to invest, they can invest in that. So we are looking forward to establishing a crowd fund. And so in general, my time is also over now. It's been now 15 minutes. I was only 10 minutes. So the Pakathon is becoming a movement, and it is expanding, mashallah, over 4 continents. It is going to have 100 universities to start with this year. It will have somewhere between 5,000 to 7,000 students participating. But this is going to create a good networking, a good opportunity for students around the world. But what we need is support from seniors like Heather Bhai sitting there and other who are in the room. And I think our next presenter from Founder Institute, Kamal, people like them to sort of come on board and help these youngsters, to help them in mentoring program, establish a mentors program, and sort of so that they can come up with good solutions and market themselves in Pakistan, and inshallah in future when these projects will become matured, they can go around the world and be established in third world countries and developed countries as well. So thank you very much from my end. It's been extremely wonderful to talk to you all today, and inshallah it's a new beginning, but I can assure you all of us together can bring the change in Pakistan and around the world in developing countries in the years to come. Thank you very much, and Pakistan Zindabad.
Alright, awesome. So we're gonna start off the normal programming now. First of all, I'd like to introduce our moderator, the panel moderator tonight, who needs not a lot of introductions, but he's going to introduce himself too. He's been an entrepreneur for the last 15 years, an angel investor for the past 10, and he is currently the CEO of Ink Mind. And he also started Founders Institute Toronto. Kamal is going to explain what the stuff that he's working on and give his own introduction in more detail. And Mike?
In the broken one. Starting, I think you might.
Hello. And thank you so much for being here today.
So I'll do a very brief introduction then. I'm an entrepreneur right now. I've been an entrepreneur. This is calendar. Try one more time. I'm an entrepreneur right now. I've been an entrepreneur for 15 years. So, and I'm full-time CEO of a company called InkMind right now, which is business community software. My part-time activity is I do really enjoy giving back. I've mentored a bunch of companies. I've invested in a number of companies. I've actually taught entrepreneurship. I've been a guest lecturer at INSEAD, at Rotman, at Queen's, and actually most recently at IIT. So it's something which I enjoy sharing. And then, of course, there's Founder Institute, which is another educational program. Founder Institute is the largest entrepreneurial startup program around the world. We tell people we help you launch your dream company. And we're actually operating in Pakistan now. We've got a chapter in Karachi, and I believe there's one in Lahore, has already launched or is launching soon. So 100 cities around the world, including 2 and growing in Pakistan. For anyone who isn't, I'd like to get to know the room a little bit. We should, we've got the student and entrepreneur as well, that's totally fine. So how many people are entrepreneurs today? Okay. How many people would like to become an entrepreneur who have thought about becoming an entrepreneur? Okay, good. And how many people here either have or the aspiration is to have a good steady job with someone who gives you a good paycheck, but you certainly don't want to have to find that own paycheck yourself? I see a couple people who are confused. They want to do everything. But I just wanted to get a sense of what the room is about. For those of you who are interested in becoming an entrepreneur, Pakathon, by the way, is a wonderful way, like all hackathons, to explore an idea, find a team very quickly. If you have something you want to do now, or you actually want to do something very quickly, Founder Institute in Toronto has just opened up our 3rd chapter, so we've already graduated 24 entrepreneurs here. Our 3rd cohort is going to start in July, for early application deadline is June. So anyone who's interested in Founder Institute, fi.co/join. That's about all I want to say as the introduction to myself. I've got a lot of business experience. I've actually run businesses in Eastern Europe as well as Canada. The one experience I don't have is I haven't run a business in Pakistan up until now. So we do, however, have a number of panelists who have. So I would like to introduce our panelists, Zaki Patel and Saeeda Zaki. So you want to come on? Also, our 3rd panelist is going to be joining us by video, and I'm not sure where. I think he's online.
Okay. There is another person, yeah, that might be him. Simon, would you mind unmuting yourself and just saying a few words? Just a hello would be good. If you can hear me. I don't think he can hear me.
All right, that will be interesting.
That will be interesting.
So we might have...
Do you mind messaging him or telling him to unmute himself?
Okay, so we'll be joined shortly by our 3rd panelist. So the goal will be basically I'll be introducing the questions, asking questions from a number of the panelists. Do feel free while you're listening, we'll throw it open for questions at the end. And I do not have a watch on me, so I will trust our organizers to stand up and wave and get our attention whenever, so that we can do some more mingling informally afterwards. Good. Are we ready? Any news from Simon, or should we get started without him at this point?
I think you guys can start. Let's just start. Yeah.
All right. Good. All right. So let me start this one off by every good entrepreneur should have practice at doing an elevator pitch. Yeah. Because you never know when you're going to meet a potential investor, a potential employee, potential whatever. So I'm going to ask each of you to do a 1-minute elevator pitch on your business. And I know it's the same business, but you probably have different ways of doing it. So let's get started.
Our business is 141schools.org. It's not really a business, so to say. It's a not-for-profit organization, and I see signs from the back that you can't do. sorry about that, but this.
I think if you hold the mic at a certain distance.
141schools.org is a not-for-profit organization that started on December 16, 2014. And that was a dark day in the history of Pakistan, and a sad day for the entire world, as there was a terrorist attack on a school in Pakistan in which 141 children, and more than 141 people, mostly children, lost their lives. And coming out of that, I guess spawning from that horrific incident, I started a website with a mission to build 141 schools. And this was inspired by somebody else and an idea that I came across. And so that essentially becomes this is very simple, is to build schools in Pakistan as a solution to, or at least to be part of the counter narrative to schools in Pakistan, and in a way to try and counter the apathy of in face of perfect tragedies that take place. And now let's hear the other view of the business.
So I look at 141schools.org, which is essentially a website, as a web movement. We got our first piece of support from 15,000 people from all over the world, and we want to give them a platform to basically help support this cause in whatever way they can. Consumer donation, skills-based volunteering, and so that's how I look at it.
So one of the things we talk about at Founder Institute is really helping people find the business idea which is right for them and the one that fits their background. So the question I have for you is, how does the business you're running today fit into your life story? What have you done in the past that you find useful right now? And what are the things which maybe are not obvious? What is it that makes this business right for the two of you?
Well, I would say I do think this business is right for me. My background is not in education, my background is not in fundraising. But when we did start this, at least the way I looked at it is that I have a background in technology. And technology is a great way to mobilize resources and to unify people around the world. And obviously my initial mindset was a crowd-sourced platform. So I basically used my skills to build a website in 5 minutes and the world. I used a little bit of my previous experience in validating startups and the world with a platform to see if it was a good idea and if it was just me that turned this way or whether who I could rely on for support and motivation. The other aspect is obviously trying to do
So my background's in finance, and I've worked with ventures with other places with impact as well across different sectors. So it's actually my first time working in non-profit setting. But of course, the objective of 141 schools is to have a social impact and be able to measure that social impact and then communicate that to them and show how an effective platform can shape the narrative. So that's where I feel like my prior experience with well with this organization with this so really apply those skills that I've learned.
I think, sorry to interrupt, I think Sam is on board as well now. If you wanted to direct a question towards him.
Yeah, well, Simon, first of all, could you give us just a quick 1-minute elevator pitch about your business and what it does?
Yeah, for sure.
Just a minute, Simon, on the volume.
Could I?
I'm some connectivity issues.
Yeah, I need to go back to school, I guess. To be another teacher or something.
Hello.
Just talk. Sorry.
All right. Yeah. So basically, I'm the founder of ProCheck.
No, unfortunately, we're having some issues with the sound. We'll come back to you. Let me figure it out. Okay. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
All right. So you clearly have a choice right now in terms of you've got a pretty good background of things you've done about whether you're working, whether you choose to work as employees or to work for yourselves. And I'm not sure how much you're working for yourselves, if you have day jobs and this is a part-time or if this is full-time. But why are you giving up the time and or the money to do something so crazy as to work for yourselves?
Then, to be honest, there's no rational reason why I'm doing what I'm doing. It's really, the way I look at it is sometimes you get presented with opportunities and you either take those opportunities because they feel right or you pass them by. This was for me an opportunity that was a bunch of opportunities, the only one that really made sense to me. That is something that I should spend my time doing. And even if whether I succeed or I don't succeed, whether this takes off or it doesn't take off, it makes sense and it's a good idea, and that's what. So it's something that we keep kind of asking ourselves, well, how are we going to do this? How long are we going to do this? How do we do this on a full-time basis? So these are all difficult questions to answer, and at this point, we're only about 4 months in business as a non-profit, so we're looking for areas where we can have more resources and have more people. I think at the end of the day, it's about sort of passion and opportunity and position, and either you're in a position to act, and if you present an opportunity, you can act, you can't act. Most of the time, you can't act. But when you can act effectively, I think you should phrase it, which is sort of what I've tried to do. I said, this is something I can do. At least that I can use for myself. I don't know where it's going to go, but I'm going to do the website, and that's what I can do to start.
Just to add, that he's also management consulting, so and I'm also freelancing at this point, so it's something that was sort of what we call it serendipity. I designed for my full-time job on the 7th because it's taking the started that 16 last year website. So stars sort of aligned and decided to launch this. Really, the executive job sometime realizing that a few hours in our day, even our freelance, we want to utilize it in the day. So it's really been extremely lucky. It hasn't been very systematic thinking about how this is going to happen. It's just been very impulsive and it's luckily we're really lucky.
It was sounds like Simon.
Any hopes, please? Simon, could you say something again?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll put the mic next to it. Okay. Can you speak now?
Yeah. So I just answered the question.
So the first question would be, can you give us a 1-minute description of what your business is? A quick elevator pitch so we have some context.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm the founder, and we work primarily with pharma manufacturers who uniquely supply each that they manufacture. That and then we use for the patient to verify the city of their drug. So it prevents counterfeiting. In the process, now manufacturers market intelligence, enroll patients, start programs,
So we're still having problems here.
We're definitely still having problems, yes.
Just for some context, I am in here right now. It's 5 o'clock in the morning. I love to be part of this. So we're having technical difficulties. Thank you so much. But
yeah, we should just.
So. By the way, it may not be obvious looking why my name's Kamal Hassan. My father actually came here in 1954, moved here from Pakistan in 1954. So, and so I do know a little bit about the culture. Something that my father
when I became an entrepreneur, my father drew me aside one day. He asked me, how can you fail as a father? As to quote him, a young man of your age to have a job or want a job. What have I done wrong? So that was how my father reacted. So I'm wondering how the Lord
But I think mostly it was supported. A lot of questions about how you want to do this, how much money this, how you want to, what happened to your future. And like I said earlier, there's no right answer to that.
Hey, Tamu.
We're just trying everything we can to get him on.
Sure, do you want to try it?
Sure, yes. What I was, let me just.
Yeah, so I cloud.
Many people, there's a bit of a myth that entrepreneurs are overnight successes. Around the world. And there's often a very difficult initial period when you're really learning there's often that initial learning period where you really figure out what you're doing, how to do it, and you will
You know, when we started this, I guess contrary to the standard results of not an overnight success, unfortunately, and because of the circumstances, this was sort of an overnight thing, right? So I launched the website at 2 in the afternoon, and by 10 at night, there was about 5,000 people. Next morning, there was about 10,000 people. So literally in 3 days, it was what I kind of considered well. There's 15,000 people out there. I started this contrary.
I promise that isn't me.
Sure. So, from that perspective, we were sort of very quickly on the way. We say, well, it's a good idea. People support us. We should go ahead with this. We should not just, because as I said, it was sort of an impulsive reaction. My part to put on the website and mission. Without thinking through, well, what does it mean, what does it take, how is it going to happen, what is it going to expect, there's no thinking behind it. Generally, when you do a business and you start something, you think about it. You're doing it, what you're doing, have some type of plan, have some type of resource arrangement or something. But in this case, there was no. So it's kind of goes against the way. Now, 4 months down the road, we have learned a lot about what it takes to have a platform, to bring people together, what it takes to build partnerships with people who are actually going to receive the funds and build this in Pakistan, where you fit in with the grand scheme of things. Because also, whenever you start a business, I think everyone feels that they are the most important thing in the world, and that why aren't people talking to me? My business is different. But over time, I think we learned that patience is key. Spending time with people is key, and learning from veterans is probably the best thing to do. So we are kind of the flip side where now that we have, the easy part is done for us, but we established what we want to do. The tough part starts now. What does it take to sustain a global campaign? It's a lot of learning that still goes on in terms of how do you keep people motivated after months? How do you sustain a campaign that is very emotional in nature and is rooted in the event? And also, finally, like how expensive it is to build a school. So when I started this, I didn't have any idea of what the cost of the school was and what all the challenges are in building schools in the country. So a lot of learning and a lot of exploration of what is the real challenge for education.
I think just to add to that, he likes to use the term cautious optimism. When we first started 141 schools, not only is the organization rooted in something very emotional and tragic, you also want to when you found an organization, it's your baby and you're very, very passionate. You want the whole world to feel about it as passionately about it as you do, but the fact is that slow and steady wins the race, and that's something that we've learned. I wouldn't say the hard way, but definitely very quickly. That in Pakistan they have this saying that "Josh se kaam lo, josh se nahi." Everything can be done with Josh, but really you really have to ground yourself in reality, take into consideration what you're working with, the time constraints that you're working with, and really try to remain optimistic and not try to get ahead of yourself.
What do you find is different about the business environment? You say you need to sort of ground yourself to how things happen there. What's different about how things happen there?
Well, not to start with a negative point, but I feel like there's an inherent skepticism when a really big initiative is taken, and that's related to Pakistan. And so where there was a lot of support and had the support of thousands of people around the world, there was also a fair bit of skepticism, and so we were faced with a lot of, how in the world are you going to do this? Like, how are you people sitting in Toronto? How are you actually going to make this mission reality? And again, the pace at which things happen in Pakistan as well, it's something we really have to sort of acclimatize ourselves with.
Pace as in a slower pace?
I'd say the level of efficiency and responsiveness can it can be slower, just because there's a lot of different there's logistical challenges, there's a lot of other considerations which we don't generally have to think about even when we're operating a business in the West. That's not the same in Pakistan all the time, and I'm sure this time you really have to pace yourself accordingly.
Speaking of Simon, is it worth doing another sound check? Do you have anything you did prior or not?
We could try again, but I don't think, yeah, it's probably just going to be the same, yeah. It's unfortunate. The mic apparently works though.
This mic works here?
Yeah. Oh, finally, yes.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah.
So there are a few North Americans in the audience, and one of the questions any North American would have about doing business in Pakistan is, what about the political instability, violence, etc.? Is that a real factor? Does it affect anything you do in terms of business, or how is it?
The answer is obviously yes. It has a huge impact on anything that you try to do. Political instability. From our example, for our organization and our mission, there's a culture of fear in Pakistan. People are afraid. People are afraid to do things. People are afraid to tell people that they're doing things. People are afraid of the wrong sort of projections. And the media is not very responsible. So one of the things that we did very quickly when we were there was stay away from mass media, because you never know what they're going to do and where it's going to go and where their message is going to go. So you have this big trade-off of, well, I'd like to go and make a statement on TV and on radio and reach out to people and tell people what I'm thinking. But you really have to think twice about doing that, because there's the value of where your message is going to reach, but there's also the potential negative consequences that you would have to face. So going back to what Saeed said, one of the first things that our partners told us over there was, think 100 times before you do anything in Pakistan. And think about whether it's going to sustain you in the long run, because this is a long run project, or whether it's just going to be a, you're going to have a big, a flame, and then it's just going to hurt you later on. So unfortunately, we had to stay under the radar, right? Which means less exposure, which again means it takes longer for you to get to your destination. So that was one of the main sort of factors in the decision we took there, was sort of this unfortunate culture of fear that is there in Pakistan.
Yeah, and again, just to repeat what I said, when you're doing something and you think it's great, you want to shout it out from the rooftops and tell the world about it. But once we got to Pakistan, we really had to sit back and try to understand the consequences of what that could mean for us, and so we made a very conscious decision about not having the limelight on 141 schools and really facing ourselves while we were there, and really understanding that this was going to be a long-term effort, and so plastering our faces all over television and mass media would not be the wise way to go about it, and that's and I think every venture has has a sort of different trajectory to take in terms of the exposure that they choose to give of themselves to the world, and we learned very quickly that projecting it again through smaller independent media channels and having independent bloggers write about us, for example, as opposed to going to the biggest newspaper in the country, is the better way to go about it. And that kind of exposure also brings back a response that we can manage. As a small team, we wouldn't be able to manage hundreds and hundreds of emails in one day, and so it would be irresponsible for us to put ourselves out there to the world and not be able to respond to people in the way that they would like to be responded to. And so I think it worked out really well for us.
What are the upsides of doing business in Pakistan? For instance, it's a very different cost structure than here. It's very different business structure. Are there any things you encounter which are better than it would, that doing your business there is better or easier than it would?
Well, I think, from my perspective, it's personal networks. So in Pakistan, I grew up in Pakistan and from Karachi, so I spent a lot of time there. My family's there, so it's very easy to reach out to people and get connected. So everyone knows if you have a personal network and you're doing something, you're putting your name associated with it, people will come to you and say, how can we help? Or hey, you should talk to this person, or hey, I heard about it. And they'll just connect you, and that gets you sort of moving pretty fast. Over here, on the other hand, it's not the same, because I'm an expat, I'm not from here. So building a network is more it's more of a professional network, right? So, and those people in your professional network don't necessarily share the same personal experiences with you. So, more emotional Pakistani-oriented venture is not something that I could possibly go to my professional network here and say, I'm looking for some help, because they won't know where to direct me, because it's not, I have no sort of connection to it.
Can you talk a little bit about how important it is to have local partners? Now, you are partnering with some local groups to run schools. How important are they to you, and are there things they do which you would find it very hard or impossible to do yourselves?
So again, just when we launched with this mission of building 141 schools, we sort of sat back and thought, well, how the heck are we actually going to do this? And so the fact that we could go to a huge organization like the Citizens Foundation, which is a very well-established, reputable nonprofit in Pakistan. They've built over 1,050 schools and educated 150,000 kids. Is a very, very big thing for us. We're really lucky to have them on board as partners, and we've essentially learned very quickly that they have a way of doing business, and they've been doing it for 20 years. They've been building schools and educating kids, and they have that expertise. And so we've sort of left that side of the organization organizational part of things to them because they're the experts in doing it. And where we realize we have synergies with them is in being able to leverage our networks across the world and really being able to harness the technological aspect of things and creating awareness about this campaign where perhaps TCF may not have been able to do so. So I feel like in that respect, it's been a really, really good partnership.
Local partnership is essential for what we're doing. There's no way we can claim to build schools. Right? You have to have knowledge and technical, and you have to have an infrastructure. In general, for people looking to start businesses here that will have a social impact in Pakistan, I think it's crucial again to find partners. I think the advantage that people will find is that the organizations that are doing work which is specifically social impact related or is more innovative in nature and is solving problems specifically that have that is a problem and can be defined are smaller organizations, at least from my experience. They're smaller, they're more approachable, and they will actually look out for partnerships with you. For us, for our case, when we went to the Citizen Foundation, very difficult for them to even say, well, you're really small right now, so we're not really going to, why should we move for you? Whereas if you go and you approach a smaller organization, if you have a good idea, they'll be very, at least from my experience, will be more receptive than larger partners. So I guess my point is it depends on the nature of your business and the nature of the partners you want. Sometimes you want to get the biggest gorilla in town because that validates you and your future mission and it gives you a trajectory that you're saying, okay, well, I really don't have to worry about all of this hard stuff that they're really good at. But sometimes you want to find a partner that's at your same scale. So sometimes we think to ourselves, well, should we build smaller schools that are less expensive and will help us get to our mission faster? And most of the time the answer is no. Well, because if we don't end up building good schools and education in those schools is not there, and if something happens to us and this mission is not sustained, then everything goes down the drain. So we need a partner that's way bigger than us, that's going to sustain our momentum and any momentum that they create, and ensure that the education provider is good, and through that sort of create that long-term social impact when hopefully children coming out of these schools, 141 schools hopefully in 10 years, there will be a narrative to tell that, look, this is where these schools came from, and hopefully you will, it will instill the desire to be kind of agents of positive change in Pakistan, right? And so that in turn will hopefully create a small army of students or children, whatever it is, that counter extremism. So it will be hopefully in their veins and their blood.
Let me turn things over to the audience now. Does anyone have any questions they'd like to put to any members of the panel? Just raise your hand. Start at the back. And start with the guy at the back there.
So I think you just touched on points right now. I know you're partnering with TCF, the Citizen Foundation. I work with them. They're amazing, absolutely amazing. I think the work you're doing is absolutely amazing. I think everyone in the room here tries when this happens. But are you looking to partner with anybody else, or are you restricting yourself to TCF, or is it a time thing that you're looking to see what happens around the world, or do you have opportunities available to partner with? I know there's some other organizations who are also maybe not building as many schools as TCF, but doing amazing work in education. I have personal interest in education in Pakistan, obviously, so it's very much personal questions, not really a reflection.
That's a good question, and it's maybe when we started, like I said, they were saying we asked ourselves who's going to build these schools for us. So we approached a wide range of partners, including developers in literacy, TCF, CARE Foundation, READ Foundation, all the sort of well-known organizations that we could connect to, right? And we found it very difficult to manage more than one. It's very difficult to build partnerships. It's very difficult to build relationships with people, especially when you're around the world and you have no past history, no track record. So we sort of went in one direction. We picked a partner that we managed to actually build a relationship with. And we've been trying to kind of explore avenues where we can partner with other organizations and build more schools and direct people to fund more schools that do. But at the end of the day, there's a big challenge because resources, time, and energy. Right, the amount of time is going to take us to first of all understand how the other partner works, how we could possibly create some type of agreement relationship with them. then the next step is obviously communicating that to the entire world and not confusing the hell out of people about what it is you're doing. So taking kind of a lean startup mentality, we're trying to keep pace with what resources are available to us. So bringing on another partner right now, the way you said, is basically hopefully a time-based thing where 6 months from now, when we have maybe some resources and we have another partner on board, we can then manage that exercise. So we'd love to be able to say, well, here are 6 great organizations and profile each of them, and they can choose wherever they want to donate and stuff like that. But it's just a very difficult proposition.
I have a small follow-up question. Sorry for all the time. How do we get involved with your organization?
Great question. So the easiest way to get involved is obviously to donate, and that's the easiest thing for me to say and the easiest thing for you to do. The next step is obviously to get involved in spreading awareness. So, follow us on Facebook, keep track of what we're doing, join our events, and that's, again, simple stuff that, everyone can do. If you really want to get involved, then join our team, right? So we have a team that's based in Toronto. We have a small team based in Karachi. We have a small team in Islamabad, and we have a small team in Lahore. But our team here in Toronto, this is our headquarters. So what we really do is we get on a call every week. We talk about what's coming in the pipeline, what the next event is, where we should go, which audience we should spread awareness to. Does anyone have any ideas? So it's really a collaborative effort. So there's a simple way. Go to our website, press the Get Involved button, tell us how you a bit about yourself, and then we'll add you on to our next community call. And from there, it's really about your personal motivations and your own creativity. Because at the end of the day, it's all volunteer-based. It's all about activating communities, right? So that's what our focus is that we're trying to activate communities because it's a good cause. There's no questions about it. It's a good organization. There's no question about where the funds are going. So really, similar to Pakathon, it's a bit of a platform. So if you come to us and you say, hey, I have a small community that I want to raise funds from using a crowdfunding campaign, we'd be able to help you out with whatever it is that we have. If you'd like to come and participate and help us find our next event, that would be more than welcome as well.
And just to add, there's 6 amazing volunteers that from our Toronto team. They're sitting in the front row right now. They're wearing our 141 Schools t-shirts with our logos. So if you have any questions, please feel free to approach them after the event, and they'll be happy to answer questions. And we also have some really cool little bookmarks to give to everyone in the audience.
Yes. Just a quick question here. First of all, good work, because there's. All right. So just a quick question. First of all, good work, because there's hundreds of people who talk about doing things that don't actually do it. You guys are actually doing it, so good props to you there. But I'm just curious. Of the travels that I've had in mostly Punjab and KBK, when I go back to visit, and I visit like my family villages and all, I tend to find that there are these empty buildings, right? There's actual infrastructure there, but there's no students or there's no teachers. And one of the main issues is that a lot of teachers don't get their salaries. The average salary for like a public school teacher, anywhere from 10 to 20,000 rupees. Private schools a little bit more. So what is it? How are you ensuring that teachers are going to show up to these schools and actually stay there? And the second thing is, for some of the students that are trying to go to school, a lot of them can't because they don't have modes of transportation, or they don't, or there's a lot of systemic factors. Like, are you guys dealing with that, or are you just building the physical buildings?
So, short answer to your question is we're not dealing with that. So in terms of teachers and the availability of teachers, TCF has around, I think, 7,700 teachers, and they're all female. They're a full female faculty. And really, it's the organization has a method to training teachers for their schools. So they have 1,000 schools, and they have a teacher training program, and they have an input process, and they have an output process. So they're really the experts at training teachers, and making sure those teachers are staffed in the schools and are paid a good salary, commensurate with whatever skills that they have. So TCF is very good at that. There's no schools that have no teachers, right? So they're a private organization run by founded by businessmen who are very successful and super smart. So they make sure that those schools are effectively staffed. In terms of government schools, I think there's a lot of government schools, and
there's a lot of ghost schools where there are buildings. There were great schools at some point, probably for a few months, and then it went downhill from there. The teachers didn't get their salaries. The building went to shit. The infrastructure crumbled, and the community around that school kind of caved to poverty, extremism, violence, that type of stuff, and everything is useless, right? So when we started this, or at least when we were learning about this, we seriously considered going after doing ghost schools instead. So saying, okay, let's find the ghost schools and let's find a partner that all they do is adopt ghost schools, and we did. There is an organization that is has probably as big as the Citizens Foundation, but all they do is adopt government ghost schools. So they take this building and they'll raise funds and they'll take it over from the government and they'll staff it with their teachers and their curriculum, and they'll improve the community. So this is a great organization that we would have ideally partnered with if we had enough resources. We would have said, well, we should do 140 on new schools and we should also do 140 on ghost schools. But it slowly dawned upon us that that's not going to be feasible. So there are people that are doing good work, trying to address this thing, and we're fully supportive of any campaigns that are going after ghost schools, right? So a lot of what we're trying to do is saying, okay, school building, TCF, we have a campaign, we have a mission, we have a partner, we have funds coming in. TCS builds about 50 schools a year. So these 141 schools are going to get built. Because TCS builds 150 schools a year, 3 years, you're going to have the schools, they've committed to building the schools. So half the battle is won because we have a partner that's going to execute. Now we think to ourselves, well, what else can we do? We have a community, hopefully a global community. We have a platform where we can raise our voice together. So one of the things that we're trying to do is figure out how can we, as a global community, potentially put pressure on government of Pakistan to increase the education budget, because at the end of the day, TCF is educating 145,000. The other few really good organizations, all combined together, I just learned this yesterday, are educating 3 to 4% of Pakistan's children. Only 3%. So obviously building 141 schools is not going to solve the education problem of Pakistan. So lucky for us that we have a good partner, has taken on this responsibility to build the schools. We plan to continue to facilitate and activate communities to continue spreading awareness, because this is going to take 2 to 3 years. Continue to get donations. Large organizations, philanthropists, whatnot, are going to donate the money, because that's what Pakistani people do. They're very generous, especially the expats. So we're really now trying to figure out, with that kind of honest way, where else can we potentially contribute. One of the areas is government. The other area is safe schools, where there's a global campaign that is focused on making sure that schools do not get used for storage of weapons and for use in times of war. So the big problem is that unfortunately governments around the world have not signed a treaty which says that we will not use schools ever for military purposes. So what that does is every time you use a school as a bunker or as a base or whatever it may be, it will become a target for to be attacked, if not at that point, at some point in the future. So these are areas that we're trying to figure out, well, can we play a role? Do we have the bandwidth and resources, or should we just stick to our little campaign of building 141 schools? And really at the end of the day, it's the number of people that get on board and come on board and take an initiative to say, this is where we would like to be. So if somebody comes to me and says, I want to run a campaign, 141 ghost schools, that would make my day, because I definitely don't have the bandwidth. So this is what we are trying to create, and hopefully in another 2 months we will have more success.
And I just like to urge you to add, if you're interested in learning more about 141 schools, you should also definitely check out TCF's website and read through their FAQs. It's very comprehensive on how they go about sort of educating the children of Pakistan and what their model is. And since they're sort of they're a critical part of our model, I would urge as many of you as possible to check out what TCF does as well.
So we'll probably take about 2 or 3 more questions. So any other questions for the audience? Yes?
So congratulations on an awesome initiative. One of the questions I have is, as an expat living outside of Pakistan, your credibility is often challenged going into Pakistan and pursuing different initiatives. you to a certain degree have had success by partnering with relatively smaller organizations. What have you done to build that credibility? And what exactly is your value proposition going into these places? Is it bringing funds? Is it creating that awareness? Is it the technology piece? If you could speak to that.
So to your first question, how do you kind of get the credibility? For my personal experience in this particular organization, in this particular mission, the only thing that I really had going for me was passion and energy. So, I knocked on doors and I knocked really hard. I kept knocking, and when you knock hard. That was my thing. I said, look, I'm going to go, and either they're going to shoot me down and say, you don't know what you're talking about, and thank you very much, and which is basically what they did. But the point was, I had whatever it was, there was something fueling me, and my passion was probably the number of emails pouring in every day, which gave me the ability to say, look, it's not just me who wants to do this. There's a lot of other people that would like a platform to do this, and I think I'm in a position to help. You need to help, and me help other people. So, there was no credibility as such. The credibility was maybe that I acted at the right time and that there was some numbers, and I could say, look, here's the traffic to the website in the last 3 days. This is something that Pakistanis around the world want to do. And maybe I was able to, get my message across on that front. In terms of value proposition, that's something that that we are, continually questioning ourselves as well. Is that, well, fundraising obviously is one thing, but we're not fundraisers. It's not like we've raised funds before. So we are, the value we bring right now is the ability to come to places like this, which TCF may not be able to come to places like this, and spread the awareness about this campaign and about TCF to people like you guys who would then, if there's about 50, 60 people in this room, that's great. One day we're getting to speak to 50, 60 people and the message will spread. So, we are primarily, like I said, activating communities. Right, that's our value proposition. So one of the communities we activated is artists in Pakistan and art collectors around the world. So an artist approached us and said, I'd like to donate these 3 paintings. Would you care to take them? I said, sure. We posted that on Twitter and we said, hey, here's a webpage, go and bid for it and whatnot. That led to a person who was just starting out an art gallery in Lahore call us up and say, hey, I'd like to host all the paintings that you're getting, and I'd like to run a campaign to fund one school, which is going to be the Art Campus School. And all it is going to happen, the way it's going to happen is, I'm going to set up the gallery, you're going to set up the webpage, and people are going to donate art. So we have about 15 artists that have donated, and then that then spurs art collectors to take out expensive pieces of art from their houses and say, hey, I'd like to donate this. And now we have artists in Toronto as well that are catching on to it. So, we were able to activate a community of artists and art collectors. We were able to activate a community of students. So now there's about 3 or 4 high schools, I should say, in Karachi that are helping us and doing campaigns. And that is now spread to Toronto, where now we're going to the student communities at U of T and York and trying to create that type of sort of a network impact, right? So again, TCF's goal and our partners' goal is education. That's what they're good at, their education. Our goal is to try and use technology to mobilize resources on a unified platform.
Thanks. Other questions? Ramos, you have one?
Last one. Sure. So I have 2 questions. Firstly, they'll be quick. Firstly, are the schools that you're building, are they going to be based in Peshawar where the attacks happened, or is this an initiative that's funding schools all over Pakistan? The other question is, I forgot the other question.
So this is a frequently asked question. Nearly everyone has asked us where are these schools going to be, and the schools are going to be built across Pakistan without any regard to where the attack. Unfortunately, one of the things we learned is what does it take to build a school, and why does somebody select a particular location? Why does TCF not build all their schools in Waziristan, for example, where they need it the most? And the reason is land. Land is very difficult to come by in places where it's needed the most, right? So first of all, acquiring land in Peshawar, for example, is very difficult from what I've learned. Secondly, there's land mafia, right? So whenever you go and buy a big plot of land,
you're dealing with an iron mafia in Pakistan. Then you have the other mafias to deal with, like getting electricity, the water, all those things. You also have to think about where the teacher density is and where the students are. And after taking all those things into consideration, you have to try and acquire the land. So we learned all of this from TCF that, I wanted to know where all the locations are going to be. On day one, I said, well, okay, this is great, just give us the locations, and we put them on a map, and we use that to kind of, say, oh, here's school one. But they said, look, this is not feasible. It's a great idea, but we don't want to publicize to the entire world, including, the people who grow up, who are growing up schools, that, hey, here's where we're building the schools. So, and that took a lot for us to realize, oh, there's actually a huge risk here. So, to answer your question, really they're going to be across Pakistan. We don't know where they're going to be, and it's a big issue because a lot of people who want to, for example, if you'd like to donate a school or sponsor a school, you would like it to be accessible. You'd at least like to be, if you go back to Karachi, you'd say, okay, I'd like it to be within 2 hours of a major city, so that you can then go and see it, and then if you have other people who are sponsoring that school, you can take them to the school, and that would be great. But that's the problem, is that where the schools are needed are not accessible most of the time. So,
burning question?
Yes, I just have a last comment for Zaki and Saida. I've been working with both of them since I think about 2-3 months now. I've been working with Zaki and Saida for the last couple months, and I just want to highlight, no matter how good of an initiative somebody comes up with, I think what really drives it is the leadership that is supporting the initiative. And I think in this case, we are really lucky that we have two power couple here that are really, taking the very humble approach to this great initiative. And I think it really brings it down to making everybody feel like part of a bigger team, and taking a collaborative approach rather than, this is my thing, I'm going to do this and look really good to everybody. I think so that's just a factor that I think is really important, that people should remember whenever there is a startup. That's it.
So I think those were better than any words I could have said myself to thank you. So thank you very much. And let me pass it back to the organizers here to wrap things up and get us to drinks. I'm sure they'll be around. All of us will stay around for a little while for anyone who wants to follow up with any personal questions.
I just want to make one announcement, shameless self-promotion of 141 Schools. We are co-hosting an event on April 29th at the Aga Khan Museum. We're co-hosting the famous author and historian William Dalrymple, and he will be presenting his latest book, which is supposed to be phenomenal. I just started reading it. It's also an opportunity for us to speak to a large audience, and the tickets are $45. It's on a Wednesday. The museum is free from 4 to 8 on that day, so you can, buy the ticket. Visit our Facebook page. There's a link there. But you can check out the museum as well for free at the same time. So.
Well, thank you so much, everyone, for coming. I know we had a lot of technical difficulties, but I think firstly we need to thank Kamal. Thank you so much, and we have a gift for you. And now I would actually like everyone to come up and do a selfie. Let's follow our Pakathon tradition, and we always end our night with a selfie. So if everyone would come up for a selfie, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
There, then
I would put the coffee on the front.
You know what? I think I'll help you do that. Okay?
Before you guys leave, please sign up for a newsletter. We have a couple of events coming up. We have a webinar coming up. And please sign up for our Facebook as well.
It depends. Like I'm scanning documentation right now. So and I haven't sent it to China. Basically,
guys, can I get everyone that's standing in a line to start moving and filing out like this, so that we can take a picture? Everyone, come closer. Everyone at the back, come closer. Everyone, and start moving to the sides. We're gonna try and take a selfie from here, going that way. Does that make sense? Move to the sides. Move to the sides. And come forward. People right at the back, come forward.
Yeah, I kind of want to be in the like on the side of me.
Are we ready? 5 seconds, guys. I want big smiles.
Where's the name?
Oh, is it that way? I was trying to be in the back.
4, 3. Get in, everyone get in. Big smiles.
Now I'm off to
Front camera.
3, 2, 1. Pakathon.
Pakathon. Thank you for coming, guys.
Oh my God. Super. Young lady, could you just, do you mind passing this? Thank you.
You said it yourself? Okay, awesome. Sorry, but no, I was wondering if you want to talk, like, you want me to go in depth, so like, yeah, I know I've done other, yeah, like, maybe like 10 minutes, or like, I can really like start learning. So many wires to do that.